if mnemonics would benefit somebody.
Oh, okay, so you want to know if you have a mnemonic, you're better at remembering than if you don't have it. Okay, I got it. I thought it was original. I haven't seen a project on that topic before. And I thought it was a fun idea. And she seemed very interested in it.
A control group, and I had three adults and 3 teenagers in the experimental and in the control, so there's 12 total.
I like that it was motivated by her personal experience and her own interests. And it would have been nice if she'd had time to expand it to a larger sample size. It was not very many people that she was able to test. I think it's a good idea, and perhaps if she'd talked with more subjects, their results would have been more convincing.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Good.
Good. Would you like to tell us a little bit about what you did?
Okay, I did mine on if gender affects fingerprints, fingerprint patterns, and if you were a crime scene investigator and you took fingerprints, then if you could narrow it down if it was male or female, what the biggest percentage of it would be.
Well, I thought it was interesting to ask the question of whether males and females have different fingerprints. I wouldn't have thought of asking of that, so that shows that the student has a very inquisitive and creative mind, and I thought that was a strength of the project.
One of the posters we were just looking at, the results said, I proved that my hypothesis was correct. And in math we can make formal proofs, but in most of science we don't prove a hypothesis is correct. There's always the possibility that a pattern we see could be caused by something else, and we need to keep our minds open to the other possibilities. So if it's a small sample size and yeah, the pattern looks like what I expected, I would say my results are consistent with my hypothesis. I think my hypothesis is right, but I'd be reluctant to say I really proved that I was right without keeping my mind open for other explanations. An alternative explanation for this pattern is that women in your family have one, was it boobs?
Yes.
But it doesn't mean all women would have boobs.
It doesn't mean. Okay. It's just my sample, the people that I use as samples.
We liked the project very much, but we mentioned to the student that there might have been a sampling bias introduced by how she classified the different fingerprints. And I think that's something that any scientist needs to think about as they collect their data.
So tell us about what you did.
Alright, so my project was, I was modeling the glioblastoma-associated histone H3.3 in Saccharomyces cerevisiae budding yeast.
So the student is very knowledgeable, very impressive in the depth of knowledge that he has, and so that was a real positive, and he's very comfortable with it. He welcomed questions, and he didn't get flustered at all. He was, a couple of times, because it's so complicated, he kind of lost track of what he was saying, but he recovered very well. He figured out that what he was saying didn't make sense and was able on his feet to recover and say, oh wait, that's not what I mean. What I mean is this. And I thought that was quite impressive. So were you comparing the mean number of colonies?
Oh, sorry, I said t-test, my bad.
Chi-square, all right.
My bad, sorry. Chi-square.
Okay.
Interesting because it raised a good sort of learning point about recording scientific data. The student had a problem with his notebook where it fell in a puddle and got partially destroyed. And we emphasized to him that even if a notebook gets damaged and ugly, you have to maintain original notes of everything. That's a really important part of the scientific process.
You have to have the original copies. Right. So if lightning does strike twice in the same place and your notebook falls in a puddle again, save the original. And even if you type over your notes, save the original. Okay. That's the gold standard there.
Yes, ma'am.
So I think different teams of judges, the details may differ, but the first step is we add up the scores and we look and see if there's a clear distinction among the projects in terms of the scores. But even if there's a discussion of the merits of each project. And we try both to figure out how to rank the projects and also what feedback we would give the students in case they go on to present at a higher level of competition, how they could improve their display or their presentation, or even sometimes they have time to collect more data. The criteria that we're given are listed here in the sheet, and that's what the scores are based on. But the reason you have 3 judges is that everyone interprets these differently, and we may emphasize particular elements more than the score sheet does. And so it's really It's a discussion of relative merits with different perspectives on what makes for the best science and the best presentation of science, different points of view.